This is Avery's Sports Show.
This is Avry Sports Show.
This is Avery Sports Show.
What is good, world? Avery here, and welcome back to Avery's Sports Show. I'm talking Florida Panthers today with the head writer and creator of the SunshineScape.com, Kris M. You can follow him on Twitter at @TrashNewton. Kris, how are you doing today, sir?
Hey, feeling pretty great in yourself, Avery. How's everything?
I'm doing well. You know, watching the Florida Panthers up here in Edmonton, you know, they're a team I really wish always could be. They're near a playoff spot, 5 points out of the last wildcard spot in the Eastern Conference. What's it been like down there seeing this team battle through, you know, injuries and not being the most experienced team in the league, you know, especially the injury stats with the goaltenders. This past year, you guys have gone through Al Montoya, Roberto Luongo, Dan Ellis, and of course, in a game against the Leafs, you almost had to have Rob Tallis, the goaltending coach, go in net when Luongo and Montoya both went down to injuries.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty crazy game. Like, I remember sitting down, like, is this actually happening? Like, first you lose Luongo, and then, you know, Montoya gets out. Like, okay, great. Like, Montoya just skated out. Montoya's hurt, and then, like, is Tallis going to come in? You see Upshaw and McKenzie running down to the dressing room. Everyone's panicking. No one knows what to do. Luongo was actually a few miles away at the Cleveland Clinic getting, I believe, an MRI on his shoulder, and apparently got a call on his cell phone. Drove back to the arena and finished out the game, and it's been quite the whirlwind since. I mean, fortunately, the Panthers were able to call up Dan Ellis, who was really, really impressive in his call-up here. I believe Dan Ellis went 3-2-1 with a .922 save percentage, and he basically picked up 7 points out of a possible 10 for the team. And when you're a young franchise like the Florida Panthers, and you're basically clawing every possible point for a wild card spot, Dan Ellis pretty much Dan Ellis stepped up in a pretty major way and picked up some pretty huge points up until Luongo was able to come back last night against the Red Wings.
And you mentioned the game against the Red Wings. I mean, Florida comes in and they knock off Detroit 3-1. I mean, this is a team where if they make the playoffs this year, I don't think that's impossible to think this team could win a playoff series in the Eastern Conference, in my mind.
Yeah, with the Florida Panthers, they're a really, really fascinating team to look at, because if you look at last season, they finished with 66 points. I mean, they drafted Aaron Ekblad first overall, and I don't think, if any Florida Panthers fan is going to tell you, yeah, they're going to make the playoffs next year, they'd be completely lying to you. You're looking at a team right now that's sitting a few points shy of a wild card spot with 78 points. I mean, just that in itself, you're looking at a 12-point improvement from last season, and they still got 11 games left to go. So if they're able to sneak into a wild card spot, that would be unbelievably huge for this franchise. I believe that once you get into the playoffs, really anything can happen. If you get a hot goalie, I mean, literally anything's possible. And with Roberto Luongo, he has a pretty good history in the playoffs with the Canucks. And I think if they're able to squeak into the playoffs, they can do some damage in the first round to whoever they match up against.
Absolutely, it truly could. You know, you mentioned Aaron Ekblad. He's coming into the league, rookie season, 18 years old, looks 35, and plays like he's been in the league for... I mean, I'm 22, I look like I'm 14, so seeing him is very intimidating. And I mean, I see how he's playing right now. He could be a Calder Trophy winner, hands down. He looks like he's been in the league for 10 years already.
It's unbelievable. Not just Calder Trophy. If they were to invent the Super Calder, he would win that too. I mean, what Aaron Ekblad has done stepping into the league as an 18-year-old is absolutely fascinating. I mean, so far you're looking at, he's played 70 games. He's averaging 22 minutes on ice every game, 11 goals, 24 assists, looking at 35 points. He's a positive possession player. It's unbelievable, and he's doing this on the top pairing. It's not like he's being, you know, he's playing 15 minutes of ice, 15 minutes on the ice every night on the 5 or 6 spot. I mean, this kid is doing this on the top pairing. He's absolutely phenomenal. I mean, really, when I was watching him at developmental camp, I didn't think he had a shot in this league this season. He was coming in a little bit shy, but he's been a player that's always been able to adjust very well. I mean, he was given exceptional status by the OHL when he was just, 15 years old. And he's, I hate using this term, but he's a gamer. Like, whenever you put him up in a big situation, he steps up and he learns to adjust. And the way he thinks the game at this level, I mean, his IQ as a defenseman is off the charts. And just the little subtle things he does every game. I mean, last night, there was a 2-on-1 that he stopped by basically, instead of racing to the attacking forward, he just basically put him in a good position to stop the momentum of the forward, and basically just a nice, solid safe poke check and just knock the puck out of play. And it's those little plays, those little nuances like that he does every game that makes him such a valuable player. That those are veteran moves that he's making as a 19-year-old right now, and what he's doing for the Florida Panthers is absolutely invaluable.
Do you think being in a market like Florida has helped Ekblad's development as opposed to, say, if you were in Edmonton, Montreal, or Vancouver, or even a U.S. market like Detroit or Boston, where the media throng can overwhelm a young player, where writers and other reporters will jump on him for every little mistake he makes?
Right. Yeah, I think that's really beneficial to him. I mean, if you look at the post-game scrums, there's only a handful of reporters down there. It's very tough to transition into a pro hockey league when you're just 18 years old. It doesn't matter if it's a European league or if you're doing work in the NCAA. It's always tough to make that adjustment because there's always a maturity issue. I mean, when I was 18 years old, there was no way I'd be responsible, playing any sort of pro sport in any capacity. Aaron Ekblad does it with a smile on his face. So I think playing in a smaller market like Florida really helps because he's able to just, quietly sit down and play his game. I mean, you look at Florida's commentator. You have Potvin up in the box every night, and after every game, Potvin goes down and talks to him, and you're looking at a Hall of Famer being able to sit down and say, "Hey, buddy," yeah, exactly. You're looking at a huge opportunity for Aaron Ekblad to just every game have someone talk to him. I believe Gordie Howe's his agent. And he has Willie Mitchell as his captain, who has a cup-winning experience. So to have those leadership roles around him constantly is a huge asset. And I think playing in a smaller market like Florida just allows him to focus on developing his game and becoming the best player he can be without having any sort of media distraction constantly bombarding him.
Right now, there's not really a ton of big stars on this team. They're being led offensively in points by Nick Bukestad. Jonathan Huberdeau's been playing well.
And of course, Jaromir Jagr is on this team, 43 years old, but still contributing no matter where he plays. What has it been like to have him on this roster? Because, hey, having another guy who knows how to win in this league is never a bad thing.
Yeah, and it looks like he still has gas in the tank, too. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked to see him come back and play another year or two. And really, the arrival of Jagr has been absolutely phenomenal for the team. I mean, since he came and joined the lineup, the Panthers are 6-3-1. That Jagr has 2 goals, 5 assists, and 7 points in those 9 games played. But what's even more valuable is the play that he's been able to basically jumpstart Huberdeau and Barkov, who are a pair of really young kids. And you're looking at Huberdeau and Barkov's possession numbers and their point production since Jagr joined, they've absolutely skyrocketed. These are 2 players that have had tons of potential, and it's basically it's the sophomore year for Barkov. He was derailed by a knee injury last year, and you see him in the locker room, and he's basically ear to ear with a smile. It's like, imagine just future first ballot Hall of Famer showing up and saying, "All right, hey, this is what you got to do to become an impact player in this league." And every word that they're saying, they're taking it as gospel. I mean, his very first game here, he was playing against Buffalo, and Brandon Peary was set up next to him on the power play. And on that first power play, Jagr basically skated up to Peary and just talked to him nonstop between every face-off, between everything. And Jagr essentially said, "You have a good shot, so shoot the puck." Since then, there's been 2 separate games where Brandon Peary has put 9 shots on goal, 10 shots on goal. That's absolutely insane for a player of his age. And basically anything Jagr's saying, these kids are taking it to heart. And the additional benefit to Jagr is he's basically having another coach on the ice. I mean, as things are happening and as there's breakaways and transitions in play, Jagr is yelling out commands and saying, calling out audibles, "You guys got to do this, this, and that if you want to succeed." And the players are taking everything to heart, and it's working. And you're seeing a lot of these young players like Peary and Barkov and Bukestad and Huberdeau really blossom into some very impressive top 6 forwards.
And going from a player that acts like a head coach to the actual bench boss in the form of Gerard Gallant, a lot of coaches in Florida have come and gone. Some have done well, some haven't. What has he been able to do differently to put the Panthers in position for possibly qualifying for the playoffs for the first time since 2011-2012?
The most important thing to take from Gerard Gallant being a coach is he's a calming presence. He walks into the room and he just stabilizes everything. He tells the guys, just clear your heads. And what's really great about Florida is they have a really good leadership core. I mean, Willie Mitchell stepped in as the captain this season after, winning the cup with LA. And anything either Gallant says or even players like Bullen and Thornton are saying to the kids completely 100% buy into that system. You look at, there's been a bunch of games where now it's become an inside joke with Panthers fans where they call them the cardiac cats because the Panthers are down 2-3 goals and they'll come back and score 2, 3, 4 goals in the third period and win the game. And this is something that the team never had that killer instinct in prior seasons. And I'd credit almost all that to Gerard Gallant, because when he calls in the kids for a huddle and basically slows down the tempo of the game, he'll call a timeout. Guys, just play your game, keep it steady. And he just really likes to slow everything down and take it easy on the kids, because really with Florida, they're in a really unique situation as a team where the young kids are too young and the veterans are too old, right? I mean, these are kids that are Aaron Ekblad's 19, Barkov's 20, Huberdeau's 21, Bukestad's 22, Peary's 23. These are all very, very, very young kids. And really, Gallant's giving them that guidance and that direction and that calming presence to say, hey, you know what, you guys can do this, you're capable. Just stay your game, put pucks on net, and keep doing what you do. And it's really helped stabilize and solidify this team. He's not, throwing chairs in the locker room. He's been a very, very calming presence for this young core of players, and I think that's exactly what they need at this point in their development.
If Florida makes the postseason, does Gerard Gallant's name come up in Jack Adams Award talk at all?
I wouldn't be shocked to hear his name in conversation, just because you're looking at a team that can jump 20 points in the standings from one season to the next without really any major acquisitions. The biggest acquisition the Panthers really had was Aaron Ekblad in the offseason, and sure, they brought in some complemental players. They brought in Mitchell, they brought in Thornton, they brought in Jokinen, they brought in Bolins, but really there hasn't been a major turnaround. They didn't acquire a star player. The main impact that's affected this team has been Gerard Gallant. And anytime you can step into a young team and you can see them jump 10, 20 points in the standings overnight without major personnel change, I mean, you got to credit most of that to coaching and to the staff and Panthers management for setting this team up for success in future seasons.
Kris, it's been a blast having you on the show today. Hopefully we can do it again sometime with the Panthers in a playoff spot.
I hope so. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
What?